Hi. It's still Halloween. It's 11:18. I'm gonna try to take this to 11:48. Yeah, a half an hour. Okay. And you can say this, but I can't record my YouTube videos, so if they go off, they're gone. You know what I mean? So to keep this from being a waste of time for me, I'm using and I'll be directing my attention to the camera above you, which I'll start right now. Yep. Yeah, because that's okay. Okay, I'll continue here. All right. Here. I'll continue. Imam says, O-M-A. He's shocked. O-M-A. This is proof, brothers, that Jews are so wickedly smart that they were able to build a time machine and inspire Jeremiah what to write about for our time. The Jews made Jeremiah's prophecy come true with a time machine, just to give legitimacy for the state of Israel in our time. It has to be that, the Malik says. They are good, brother. Damn, they are good. Then Jabari says, brothers, do you think all of this is due to Aaron's possibly trying to get one of us to go to Iraq and throw a copy of the book of Jeremiah into the Euphrates? Then Malik says, I hope so. Allah, I hope so. There was a pause before they all break out laughing, like him. A light comes on reporter Marsha Muhammad as she looks like she is behind the table reporting the news. She is dressed in black and wearing no makeup now, except for what is needed for a play. She is painted. She is painting. What? She is painting and scared. Panting. Should be called panting. She is panting and scared. A frightened look in her eyes. She says this. Dear viewers, a lot has happened in the past 24 hours, and so much is coming at us now that it's hard to know where to begin and where to go with it. You are going to have to strap yourself into your seats, for it is now getting really bizarre, more so than anyone of us could have ever imagined. It has just been discovered that the second launch of Messages from the Edge of Earth wasn't the result of Mr. Ford, who launched the first unraveling the videotape, but someone, the first man, Ford, has no relation nor knowledge of. Reports are coming in that these videotapes that have been unraveled on the coastal highway all have the sentence observations of the strange written in black felt pen on the bottom of each spool that held videotape. It's too early to know what they contain, but one thing is for certain. What seems to be developing is that Brian Aaron, the man behind all of this, set up sleeper cells. I repeat, Brian Aaron has set up unwitting sleeper cells that have now become activated. Activated mostly when they either hear the sentence "Messages from the Edge of Earth" or come upon old books Aaron personally created and gave to them over the years. When they heard Mr. Ford say he had books from Mr. Aaron that contained special secret instructions in the middle of glued together pages that went to they went to their books Aaron gave them and held them up to the light to see if there were any secret instructions he left for them to become activated for going on a quest as well. Apparently, Brian Aaron gave them books he wrote and glued together, having instructions that manifest themselves clearly when held up to the light. Who knows how many books he gave out to friends and acquaintances he thought might want to perform in something reminiscent of that Nicolas Cage movie, and who knows how far he planned it. But it sounds like those who picked up a copy of book from him came upon what Brian wanted them to do all along if the sentence "messages from the edge of Earth" was broadcast. Well, it was broadcast, and now a lot of them are activated and going on different quests of discovery to find out, to find and do with whatever he set up for whatever reason. Who knows what order they will come and what they will reveal to us. You aren't going to believe this, but one of the sleeper cells decided to launch 2 months earlier than what Brian Aaron planned. It was to be videotape unraveled not on the coastal highway. A month after the first launch, but 3 months later, and in a place far more accessible to the public, the median of Interstate 5 in Central California. For there is now video coming in of Aaron saying another repeated message will be playing for you soon. Another single message we will be playing for you soon in the same style as when we first saw him coming out of Sparks, Nevada. In other words, something is going to be unleashed onto the median of into interstates now. Something is coming. It must be very important. If the sleeper cell couldn't wait and went against Aaron's orders to launch it 2 months earlier than what Aaron had planned, and to do so in such a fevered state. This sleeper, now activated, wouldn't give me his real name or what town he lives in, so I've decided to call him Dave Bowman. Dave says that when he unleashes it all, quote, something wonderful will happen. I asked Bowman what it was, but he said he didn't want to give it away, or that he might be stopped, that he has to keep it a secret for his safety and the safety of his family. He then just simply said, quote, it's all very clear to me now. The whole thing, it's wonderful. And he wouldn't say anything further. He said the book that had the instructions to follow out was given to him by Brian Aaron in 2014 when Aaron knocked on Mr. Bowman's home, asking him if he could climb under Bowman's house and fetch earth jars that contained scrolls of his science fiction writings. Earthen jars that looked like the type that contained the Dead Sea Scrolls. Well, Bowman and his friends feel they are on the verge of changing our future, changing it for the far better. So much so that he said he is too excited to talk about it, that he can hardly sleep and contain himself, that it's as if he has become possessed. Mr. Bowman said he's had the tapes in his attic since 2010, the year Aaron moved out of that house that Bowman, moved in, that he found them, and he found them there when they were putting in a new roof on the house. Bowman said he didn't know about what was to accompany the stack of dusty reels until he held Aaron's book pages up to the light when he heard messages from the edge of Earth, and how Ford talked of secret messages hidden between 2 glued pages recently. He said he nearly blacked out when he realized what it was he was to launch after the unraveling of tape, especially when he realized that his wife told him to throw out all the tapes and to get rid of all those silly Brian Aaron books a few years back, even though they were telling them to launch after they heard that Observations of the Strange was launched in the media coverage of Messages from the Edge of Earth. Bowman says his wife believed no one would launch video on the coastal highway, but then they heard about the books and when and where to find things to be launched onto the I-5 median. Well, although he was told to hold back, he couldn't. He said he doesn't care if the fines for what he's about to do is in the millions now, and neither do his friends. He said he looked through one of Aaron's books and its instructions, finding the place to pick up the discs to launch. Anyway, in my interview I had with Mr. Ford of Obscura fame last week, I didn't know if I should let you know this, dear viewers, for I feared it would cause a whole lot of mental anguish to my Muslim brothers and sisters, but I can't keep it to myself any longer. I've decided to tell it to you now, to come clean for you, to learn the truth of what I know. Brian Aaron is not the only name. Brian Aaron is not his only name. Brian Aaron had more than one name, for sure. He had a pen name, one that is the bane of Islam. Brian Aaron is Niles Neville. Marcia gives a dramatic stare at the camera. Lights dim on her as the people in the background whisper and wonder what about the name of Niles Neville. I gotta stop here. Okay, I'll begin it here again, so sorry about that, but yeah. Okay. Muslim brothers and sisters, but I can't keep it to myself any longer. I've decided to tell you now, to come clean for you, to learn the truth of what I know. Brian Aaron is not his only name. Brian Aaron had more than one name, for sure. He had a pen name, one that is the bane of Islam. Brian Aaron is Niles Neville. Marcia gives a dramatic stare at the camera. Lights dim on her as the people in the background whisper and wonder about the name of Niles Neville. This Niles Neville thing, what are we talking about? Lights come on the Imam and his brothers, who seem clearly disturbed. The Imam suddenly grabs at his Islamic cap on his head. A look of horror is in his eyes. As they react, one of the Muslims says timidly and barely audible to the audience, "Well, at least you didn't turn into a werewolf." An image begins to slowly form on all the TV sets as the lights in the theater dim. The TVs in the auditorium come on, and with the face of Brian Aaron now filling more of the screen than the other times, he seems a lot older, perhaps 15 years older than the last time they saw him repeating a message. He now appears to be the age he'd be when he was exposing Islam on the internet as Niles Neville. Brian Aaron says, "Messages from the median are coming. Messages from the median are coming. Messages from the median are coming." It fades to darkness and all the TV sets go out. Lights come on. The Imam is at his podium preaching to his congregation. He says, "It's been a week now since the paper frisbees containing taped on CDs of Demon Neville have been launched onto the I-5 median in radioactive California. Idiots who manage to not get killed or cause a deadly pileup trying to pick up such Satan-inspired shit. They are now uploading them onto the internet with whatever they find of this fiend. Yes, they are the videos of Neville tormenting us on YouTube, of Neville Yes, they are the videos Neville tormented us on YouTube with before it was illegal to slander the Prophet's Pubba. Yes, infidels are coming out and mirroring them, copying them. Yes, they are burning them onto discs and spreading them like a horrible plague. Yes, yes, they are secretly dropping them, flying them onto our lawns, businesses in frisbee fashion, all on the printed orders of Neville in their mindless sleeper cell way. If they were bombs, they would have killed thousands. Instead, they are doing something far worse than killing and destroying our bodies. They are destroying our minds, destroying our precious Allah-given minds with a virus designed to create doubt in the minds of Muslims and anyone who is thinking of submitting to the one God, a virus of doubt, a doubt in the notion of Muhammad taking a flying donkey-like creature ride, and conflicting it with the hadith having Aisha saying our glorious prophets never left the bed for such a magical flight by night, a virus of doubt that the sun needs to prostrate under the throne of Allah and ask Allah's permission to rise again whenever it sets, a virus of doubt that infidels wouldn't think it was merely clouds if they saw a part of the sky falling, a virus of doubt that embryos are ever clots of congealed blood, like the Quran used to say before it was updated to say clinging suspended leech for the fetus. Are these evil infidels and coppers able to upload them faster than we can flag them and take them down like we used to do with Muhammad Tube's Christian Prince and IQ's Ahmad's Quran 5, like we did with Act 17 Apologetics and Craig Wynn's Prophet of Doom, like we did with Father Zachariah Botros? The answer is, unfortunately, yes. But Allah is greater, brothers and sisters. Allah is greater. Allah is Akbar. Allah will prevail. We have the truth. Allah's religion is not beaten. Allah is much more the greater and better of planners than fools and idiots. Than the fool and idiot Niles Neville, or wherever the hell his name is. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Brothers, sisters, before I close this message, I want you to know that if you find any CD, DVD, or whatever the hell that these damn cuffers secretly fling frisbee fashion onto our property, our businesses, our parking lots, no doubt CDs taped to paper plate frisbee, flying them over our gates of security into our parking lots and whatnot, as if we are being invaded by flossers, by flying saucers from Mars, flying saucers with taped on CDs containing the discs of death to one's soul as Neville's ugly, vile face drones on about some surah or ayat. Don't. I repeat, don't. Just break it up, but burn them. Burn them and send them back into the hellfire from which they came. Lights dim. Before the lights come up, a collage of Brian Aaron is seen on the TV screen showing clips of times he confronted Islam on YouTube and other video downloaded sites before the Prime Minister of America had them pulled for being labeled as hateful. One video of Brian Aaron asking a question comes on the TV set. Says, if you woke up and found out that the Kaaba you prostrate to was not only destroyed by cruise missiles containing conventional explosives, but was then bombed with bats of pig parts and pig poop flown in from stealth bombers, well, what would you, as a Muslim, do? Would you rise up and kill anyone you thought might have thought that was funny? Or would you wonder why Allah, who supposedly said be and created the entire universe in 8 or 6 days, you take your pick, well, would you wonder why Allah couldn't protect its house and keep you from bowing down to pig poo? After more of the collage goes by, the last video of Brian Aaron saying anything repeated. The last after more of the collage goes by, the last video is of Brian Aaron saying another repeated message, as if it's a mantra. If the Bible is not the book that the clear signs Quran says it confirms and reminds, well, what is the book you, a Muslim, are to come to me for my reading of it? If the Bible is not the book that the clear signs Quran says it confirms and reminds, well, what is the book you, a Muslim, are to come to me for my reading of it? If the Bible is not the book that the clear signs Quran says it confirms and reminds, well, what is the book you, a Muslim, are to come to me for my reading of it? If the Bible is not the book that the clear signs Quran says it confirms and reminds, well, what is the book you, a Muslim, are to come to me for my reading of it? If the Bible is not the book that the clear signs Quran says it confirms and reminds, well, what is the book you, a Muslim, are to come to me for my reading of it? If the Bible is not the book that the clear signs Quran says it confirms and reminds, well, what is the book you, a Muslim, are to come to me for my reading of it? The video slowly dims to black, but not before the light comes on Drew and Rachel, looking younger and more alive, gazing into an open laptop. The mantra stays on long enough for Drew to comment about it. Drew says, "Can you believe that this video is all that he says for one whole hour? And it's the most popular of all the videos that were in those paper frisbees tossed onto the I-5 median. It replaced in popularity his dubbing over the Godzilla movie Monster Zero, where the aliens at the end blow themselves up after being exposed to that loud vibrating sound broadcast over Earth loudspeakers." Then Rachel says, the repetitive mantra was dubbed into his version of Monster Zero movie, of the Monster Zero movie, he dubbed over, the repetitive mantra was dubbed into his version of the Monster Zero movie he dubbed over in an effective way. Then Drew says, "Yeah, the part where the..." Yes, I'm going to stop it here. Okay, I'll begin it again here. Drew says, "Yeah, the part where the sound that destroys the aliens and makes them blow up their saucers. The way he dubbed it, putting his words to the mouths of the Japanese actors to make them talk about Islam, worked very well. In the process, he turns a campy, crazy movie into something symbolic and lets people and kids know what to do with the paper plates containing CDs." And then Rachel says, "Funny, Godzilla, Rodan, and Ghidra are now reduced to symbols of Islamic terror, and the sound broadcast in the flick is people becoming aware of how to destroy Islam and broadcasting it. How to destroy Islam by making Muslims wonder what the book is that the Quran says it confirms and reminds, if the Bible is not the book the Quran speaks of." Then Drew says, "Right. And instead of Muslims blowing themselves up at the end and 3 Japanese monsters becoming free from the aliens' mind control beam, Muslims are awakened to all the really stupid stuff in the Quran and Hadith Muhammad talked of, really rocking their world and making them wonder if they really will have eternal children to have sex with if they follow out Muhammad's orders and kill us for Allah. I don't know about you, but it's brilliant, and he's very good at exposing Islam, I must say." And then Rachel says, "He's definitely the gadfly on Islam's Upraised, Patootie, and Prostration." Then Drew says, "Right. Quite annoying for those who want to trick themselves into believing Islam is sound and peaceful. From looking at the laptop, looks at Rachel and says, 'Is the CD still downloading?' As she checks, TVs in the theater start coming on, showing Brian Aaron continuing the mantra, but it's silent. Rachel says, still downloading. When we are done, should we try the mosque again? The mantra of Brian Aaron is audible now and growing louder. Drew says, of course, I'll do the driving this time. You get the glory of the toss. Rachel smiles, says thanks, lights dim. The TV image of Brian Aaron is the only thing seen now. A light shines down on the imam who's sitting on the ground looking at a laptop. A look of horror is in his eyes as the droning of Aaron's mantra continues with, if the Bible is not the book that clear signs, Quran says it confirms and reminds, well, what is the book you, a Muslim, are to come to me for my reading of it? The imam suddenly treats his laptop as if he has suddenly discovered that his laptop is a poisonous viper and jumps away from it. He paces like a terrified panther as the mantra of all the TV sets drone on with the video of Aaron and his mantra. The imam stops, turns the laptop on the floor, and nearly cries as he shakes his hands, coming at it and screaming with horror toward the laptop. What are you? He picks up the laptop and looks like he's about ready to smash it on the laptop on the ground, containing himself better to the point. He swirls with his back to the audience, so it can be seen he swirls with his back to the audience, so some can see that it's Brian Aaron's video image that matches with what is on the TVs in the theater, filling the laptop screen, doing the mantra. What are you? The imam screams again with horror and terror in his eyes. Lights out. Droning mantra of Aaron continues 2 more times in the darkness, then fades out as the lights begin to come up. When the lights come back on, reporter Marsha Muhammad is now in full burqa as she gives the news. The burqa is in black. Marsha says, yes, this is reporter Marsha Muhammad. Due to the threat our Prime Minister Mohammed Shamoun sees coming from the multiplying CDs and DVDs of Brian Aaron, he has decided to punish infidels by not only making the jizya tax 50%, but to bring Sharia in full. Yes, that means the death penalty to anyone who now refuses to pay the tax of accumulation if they don't fully submit to Allah. It's a complete implementation of Quran 9:29. Thus, I now have to wear the burqa. There's a pause from Marcia. She then says, as if fighting back tears, Prime Minister Mohammed Shamoun says he will only decrease the jizya to 25% if those uploading or copying Brian Aaron videos are turned in to the authorities in mass. Marcia lowers her head and starts crying. Don't worry. I'm just crying because I have to wear this thing. That's all. Okay? Going to take a little getting used to, okay? Anyway, this just in. 4 Americans have been arrested in Iraq with copies of the Book of Jeremiah in Hebrew. They said they were planning on getting rid of them by throwing them into the Euphrates River. Lights dim on Marcia. Lights come back up on Drew and Rachel. You know, I've got to stop it here. It's almost 30 minutes here, so bye. Got to get out of here.